Hello, Dr. Firnhaber again here for another Wednesday, 10 Minutes of Truth. So today, I have two great articles, completely different, not related to each other. They're both fairly short. So I wanted to go over these with you because I think it's really, really good information. So the first article is out of the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, September of 2023. So it's just like, a couple weeks old. The name of the article is Multivitamin Supplements, Memory in Older Adults, a randomized clinical trial. And what they did was they took 3,562 older adults, and they randomized them. They put them in two groups. One received a multivitamin supplement. The other group received a placebo. And they put them on these supplements for 12 months. And what they wanted to find out was, did taking daily vitamin supplements increase memory recall, a daily multivitamin supplement? And so they evaluated them annually for 3 years with a battery of neuropsychological tests. Now, the supplement they gave them was Centrum Silver Daily. I'll be honest with you, it's not even on my radar screen as a list of my favorite supplements. I don't think it's a great supplement. A lot of the vitamins in there are very synthetic. It's not a whole food supplement. And I'm wondering if the study may have been funded by Centrum. In other words, I don't know, but they use Centrum Silver. And so the primary outcome was there was a significant change in episodic memory recall after 1 year. Compared with placebo, participants receiving multivitamin supplements had a significant greater improvement in immediate recall after 1 year. Those with cardiovascular disease, the effects were even significantly higher. The effect of multivitamin supplementation was actually sustained over 3 years. So they gave it to them for a year, and then they tracked them 2 years after that and found out that it even after they didn't take it for 2 years, the effects were sustained over 3 years, which is pretty good. So recall was 150% greater in the people who took the supplement than compared with the placebo group. Now, what I'm wondering is if they would have had even better results had the group taking the supplement been taking a whole food multivitamin supplement, something that had the entire spectrum of vitamins and minerals based in a whole food format, rather than something like Centrum Silver, which is basically a lot of synthetic nutrients. I wonder what would happen. And the primary place that this affects the brain is in the hippocampus, where you have a lot of receptors for micronutrients. So I thought that was also a very interesting aspect of the study. So the long and short of this study is that it's good to take a multivitamin supplement daily. Although, like I said, I think you could do a lot better than Centrum Silver. Okay, the next article is neuropathologic and clinical findings in young adults with repetitive head impacts. This is from JAM Neurology, September 6, 2023. So again, we're looking at an article that's just been out a few weeks. They looked at 152 contact sport players who died before the age of 30, and their brains were donated to a brain bank. And what they found is that 40% had evidence of CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Now, the sports they looked at were football, ice hockey, soccer, rugby, and wrestling. Those were the sports that that were looked at, the contact sports. What they found is that the majority of these CTE victims had competed at high school and college level. The donors, with or without CTE, so it didn't matter whether they had CTE in the brain or they didn't, they didn't differ in the cause of death. Most of these people died of suicide or unintentional drug overdose. All had cognitive and neural behavior symptoms before they died. So this case series found that young brain donors exposed to relative or repetitive head impacts were highly symptomatic regardless of CTE status, and causes of symptoms are likely multifactorial. So very interesting study. And so if you look at high school and college athletes that are involved in sports that can cause repetitive head trauma, you know, what this study shows is that probably about 40% of them may be developing CTE, not even realize it, okay? Now, the other 60% could get it later on, but in this case, 40% had CTE from repetitive head trauma. So, again, if you think about it, this might help you make decisions for what sports you want your kids to play in. Now, what's interesting is that one of the big sports that people have their kids, or that's been pushed, say, for the last 20 years, is soccer. You know, and I like soccer. I mean, I think World Cup soccer is awesome. But soccer is one of the things that cause head trauma. And, you know, they're getting all these kids into soccer, which is okay. But this was one of the sports that caused head trauma. And collisions between players, you know, heading the ball with your head, all of those things can cause head trauma and problems later on. So I would say this. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling your kids what to do. I'm just saying there's a very interesting study in Journal of the American Medical Association Neurology, and that we know that sports with head trauma involved can cause CTE, and it can start when kids are pretty young. So that's all I have for today. In 2 weeks, I'm doing a talk in my office called Understanding Testosterone Dysfunction in Men. I'll be at 6:30 in my office a week from this Tuesday. So we'd love to have you there. Had a great turnout for my talk last night on how not to shrink your brain. That's put up on Facebook Live, and it's posted on my Facebook page. Hope you guys are all well, and I will see you next Wednesday.